Hi, this is Gail and welcome to my channel. So today I'm going to show you the altered book that I made over 20 years ago for my husband. In the previous video I showed you the cover, explained September 26, 1952 at 7 a.m. is when my husband was born. And I'll get started. So, 1952 was the year. Happened to come across this in a store somewhere, and it talks about how Harry Truman was the president, the World Series, New York Yankees, NFL, Detroit Lions, greatest show on earth, TV premieres, Superman, The Guiding Light, Bob Hope. I don't know, just interesting stuff. Average yearly income, $3,000. An auto was $1,450, and a home was $7,800. Coffee was 74 cents a pound. Okay, I could go on and on forever, but anyhow, that was kind of fun, so I made sure that was in there. Notice I did a little triangle fold. These were paints. He who knows not the world knows not his own place in it. Marcus Aurelius. Okay, this technique was this is a piece of scrapbook paper, and then underneath it was a book page, right? And so the idea is to highlight words that you would want to describe or talk about whatever. And so, yeah, that's some of these have to do with my husband, taste and ingenuity, a prize to be treasured, pleasure, enjoy time, hope, promise, etc. And this was his birth certificate. January of 1954 is when it was logged. But, yeah, September 26th is when he was born. And this page is, this was something out of one of his watchmaking books. And then I used, it looks like some metallic gold paint on it, and collaged some things on. End of an era. It says, the days of our year multiply, the seasons pass, but occasionally the wheel of time seems to pause before rolling forward. Men look at one another and say, we have seen the end of an era. So they spoke in the final days of 1952. Oh, sounds ominous, huh? Okay, and then you see various watch parts. There's a little bottle. It says time. Okay. And here is where the song starts. Throughout the book, you will find lines from the song Time in a Bottle by Jim Croce. And that song was important to us because when my husband was 45, he was in congestive heart failure. But he went to the doctors, thought he had a cold. Doctors sent him home, said, just a cold. In essence, suck it up. Well, in all the years that I had known my husband, that's the only time I ever knew him to go to the doctor. So I knew he was really sick. Well, coincidentally, my niece, who had just gotten out of RN school and had about a week before she started her very first job on a cardiac unit, happened to be there visiting. And when we came home from the doctors, and she watched when my husband sat on the couch, and she saw his heart rate, and she could, by his breathing, she could tell he was in bad shape. So she convinced him to go to the hospital. We took him to the ER, and he was in congestive heart failure. And in fact, his heart was so bad that within a day or so, they took him by ambulance down to the University of Michigan Hospital in Ann Arbor, where they were evaluating him for a heart transplant. While there, it was over Labor Day, he had a massive stroke. His pumping power in his heart was about 10%, and so he had the stroke, and it was the same day as Princess Diana was killed in an auto wreck. And so I remember as I sat in the lounge when the doctors were with him, watching that other tragedy, at least it kept my mind a little bit busy, watching all of the news about that sad event as well. But anyhow, so after his stroke, of course, he came home. And, then the whole transplant was out of the question. He had to recuperate from the stroke, etc., etc. Well, needless to say, he never got a transplant, and we kind of lived day by day. And initially, they had thought there weren't going to be many days. But as it turned out, we were blessed enough to have him with us for 15 years. But you learn living day by day to savor every moment. And that's what we did. So that's why the song Time in a Bottle is symbolic for us. And if you don't know the song, it's by Jim Croce, and it's about how fast time passes and how we never seem to have enough time to do the things we want to do, etc. So the lines from the song are scattered throughout the book. The first thing that I'd like to do, this is, if I had time in a bottle, the first thing that I'd like to do, okay? And this actually is cork that I hand carved, and it was not easy, and created that tree. And then this is a little bit scrapbooky, but I didn't know how else to do it. It was sort of the story of my husband is what I was trying to do. And this was his mom. And then this is part of the line to the song. The first thing that I'd like to do is to save every day. Okay. So this is more about moms. This was about his dad. And that's Jeff and his brother. And let's see. And there they are playing checkers together. And you can see the materials and things that I used in this. And then his brother had a party store, a little bit like a mini grocery store, I guess. And then here's some more pictures of Jeff, his brother, and his sister. And now his sister's the only one who remains of that family. The rest are gone. So, yeah, they loved to fish. That whole family, they were fishermen. And Jeff's sister, in fact, even fly fishes. So she really loves to fish. This is a page out of another one of Jeff's watchmaking or jewelry books. Looks like some bronzish paint. It's just a matter of time. And, of course, this was a little envelope that a Timex part came in, probably a watch movement, because my husband always said that Timex it's pretty much, you just replace the whole movement in it. Till eternity passes away. Save every day till eternity passes away. And so what's in a name? I'll just read a little bit. A name is more than a means of identification. It's a symbol for the way the years have been spent. It's a heritage, a legacy, an institution, an inspiration. Okay, so anyhow. And then this double page spread. I really seem to like that handmade type paper. Little booties and all kinds of little goodies, and these are pictures of him as a baby and a toddler. And then they camped a lot as well. his family. They would go camping a whole lot. So there's Jeff and his brother and his mom. And there Jeff is again. And then the line of the song, "If I could make days last forever." And a lot of these are like 3D and very textural. I love texture. This is 3D. You know, so I did use scrapbooking supplies, and you can see this book is coming apart, so I'm going to have to mend it. And here they are again with the fishing theme. There's Jeff and Jeff. And here he is as a little guy fishing off the dock. At one point there was a fish on here. Oh, there it is. I stuck it down, I guess. And him swinging. And this was him and about school. And this is one of those little spinner things, you know, where it shows pictures of him throughout school. Oh, that one, no teeth. So fun. So fun. And then this opens, and this is another line. "I'd save every day like a treasure." And then this just sort of reminded me of that era. That's kind of what we did. I mean, this book actually was called 1952, and there Jeff is sitting on the back steps. I mean, it really is what that era was all about. Again, I would spend them with you. And these are like his little footprints and one of his school photos. You can see this was a terrible printer I had. This was an inkjet, and oh my goodness, certificates of like when he was in a safety guard. And this was interesting. This is the record of his birth, and 19.5 inches long, 8 pounds, 5 ounces. So that's kind of fun. In some of the stuff that I found, it actually had how much it cost for him to be born in the hospital. Oh, this was cute. This was a note from when Jeff's sister was born, and it says, "Dear Mother, I hope you are feeling better. I'm happy it is a girl. We are waiting for you to bring it home." Mrs. Bolte wants me to say hello to you. Sincerely yours, Jeff Duddell. Oh my goodness. Bring it home. Yeah, okay. Funny. Oh, and this was something. These are copies, of course. This was something he had written in school, and, you know, so there's some fun things stuffed in here to look at, and keepsakes, development records, which this was kind of fun because when I had my daughters as well, and so when her son was born, we could kind of compare notes. And anyhow, so you see, just, there we go. These pages are like cardboard, I must say. So the papers that are glued to them and then using the paint, they are like cardboard. So these are Jeff and the pets and playing piano. Funny story about him playing piano. Oh my, the piano teacher died while she was giving him a lesson. Poor guy died at the piano. Oh goodness. Okay. But there never seems to be enough time. I love those little pockets, those little envelopes. They became great little pockets, you know. And he was a Boy Scout, of course, so this is his Boy Scout stuff. More about the Boy Scouts and the honors. That's a little compass. But all those things they tack on, you know, they make things pretty chunky. So yeah, Eagle Scouts they were. Oh, he looks so unhappy in that picture. And this says, oh, that's the little honor code that they did. Once you find them, that's more of the song. Then this, fun, a pleasant diversion. This was my little pop-up, but it's kind of not working so well right now. It's stuck. But he and his brother scuba dived. And so there he is, scuba diving and doing their thing. The river of life. Yes, indeed. This was tissue paper. It was multicolored. I glued it down, and then this is like that sparkle Mod Podge on it. But I found out early on that if I didn't put papers in, it stuck together. So that wasn't good. And I used this like metallic paint here again, and that's them again. And there happened to be a reporter who came by and then did an article about them and the scuba diving. So I'm guessing it might have been associated with Scouts, and that's why they got that kind of attention. Now, this page I thought was kind of interesting because, you know, and I do have dangles. They're here, Key and Dream. This page is interesting because it is, notice the sewing around the edges, what is that, blanket stitch maybe? I don't know. Anyhow, and then this is more safety patrol and that kind of stuff from when he was in school as well. It's really hard because I have such a small area to work in. And then this is actually off of his commencement program. And then experimenting with, it's like origami. They called it paper folding, but it's really like origami. And I don't think that's a tag. I think that's just, yeah, it's just a dangle. It says no. And then graduating from high school. And then he took off and he went to Pennsylvania, where he went to Bowman Technical School to become a jeweler and watchmaker. And this was his little sports car. God, I love that little red car. It was so neat. And he's on the road. He worked at a Holiday Inn. So that's why it's the Holiday Inn. And when he would go home, I guess that's why that's there. And this was the only thing I could find about Bowman Tech. I don't know if that's even a real picture of it. Maybe it's a house associated with the school. It was very hard to find anything online or anywhere. Then when he graduated, he went down to Georgia with a friend of his that he met in school who was from Macon, and they both worked at Anderson Jewelers. Okay, men, synchronize your watches. So that's kind of what that symbolizes. And there are lines from the song, but the ink has faded so much to go through time with. I think it says, and you're the one I want to go through time with, I guess. Then this is just sort of, he was pretty lonely. And then this little box says, if I had a box just for work, and it's wishes. And dreams that had never come true. So look at how much bulk that little box adds, you know. So I put in a lot of this, and please don't be offended by this. I mean, it was the Southern flag. We were in the South. It didn't have all the connotations back then that it now has. So no offense meant to anybody. And Greg Allman, he did live a couple doors down the street from where my husband lived. My husband lived in this big old mansion, had a ballroom in it and everything, and they rented out the back part that used to be the servants' quarters, and that's where my husband lived. And then this is symbolic for me, coming from Alexandria, Virginia, and headed down to Georgia. Okay, so you can't really see all of that anyhow, but Mount Vernon, Virginia, the whole idea. I lived a few miles from Mount Vernon. And then the H stands for Hayfield, which was the name of the school, which at the time where I attended, it was the largest school on the eastern seaboard. Certainly not anymore, I'm sure. But anyhow, that was actually my college graduation picture, but oh well. And then here, I just loved this picture of Jeff and I. This is when his parents came to visit, and Jeff and I went out to visit them at the campground. And I went to Mercer University in Macon, Georgia. That's where I met him in my senior year. And there's more of the song there, and that I'm not going to bother to read those because it's kind of hard to follow when it's kind of every other page or so. But anyhow, you can look up the song if you're interested. This is a line from the song, which is sadly falling apart. And these were kind of neat. These you could buy. It was like a strip of them, and I love that. They're popped up. So this is another line from the song. And some 3D, some buttons. It was fun. And this in here is poetry. You know, when you're in love. Oh my goodness. This is where some of the love letters were that I took out. This page I really had fun with. I liked this a lot. And I'll untie it for you and show you the little chapel doors open. And falling in love with the one who walked within your dreams is heaven in the making, or at least to the heart it seems. And definition for kiss and love. Doily here. Anyhow, I'm not going to tie that right now. And then here you can see this was the a copy of our certificate of marriage. We got married in Virginia, where I am from. And then these are actually shrunken down versions of the pages of our wedding book. So that was kind of fun to do. So you can see, and again, this is more of that handmade type paper. Oh, this was a picture. This was our wedding announcement. So those are the things that are on all of these tags and things. And this is that page. Remember I showed you from the book yesterday where it has the crisscross pages. And that's exactly what this is. And it holds quite a bit. But again, as I said, these are, the tags have all the pages from my wedding book, you know. So what fun. But I'm not going to take time to show you all of those. And here is the wedding announcement. Although we just had immediate family at the church for the wedding. And then had a reception at my parents' house because we were opening a store for Jeff to come back to Michigan, and we opened, well, for both of us to come back to Michigan and open the store, and we just really didn't want to spend a lot of money on a huge ceremony and all of that, so we didn't. And then this was an article the newspaper did about Jeff when he came back home and opened his store. And there he is sitting at his bench working. And watchmaker back in hometown. Okay, yeah. So, and then I don't know who sent him this envelope, but is that not the most beautiful handwriting? That's calligraphy. I thought it was his mom at first, but it was not. And that was 1977. And this is where I did that sort of weaving, paper weaving in the background. And then this is actually, it was a glass and wooden case that sits on a shelf, and then I made a miniature scene of him at his desk in a store. So that was a gift for him one year that I created. And then here he is again looking at a watch. It says, "I've looked around enough to know," one of the lines from the song. And these are things from some of his watchmaking and jewelry books. Oops, we're hooked here. And let's see what's in here. Oh, 10 years, Tuthill Jewelers. Forget, you know, after a while you forget what's in these things. So I hope it'll come out. What is it? Well, it's acting like it's not going to come out. It's just a picture of him at his bench again. So anyhow, so that's cool. That was an ad he put in the paper, you know, when you do to advertise. So, yeah. I should say that my father-in-law worked at the Bay City Times at the newspaper. So, therefore, you know, that was helpful. Oh, yeah, here we go. Wedding picture. Me, and I had that long, long hair. I had hair long enough to sit on back in the day. But anyhow, enough. I don't want to look at those. I'm sure you're bored already anyhow. But just trying to give you some ideas. We loved the country. We went out. This is us camping on his brother's property, which was out in Vassar, which is how we found our little Vassar house. So, and yes, guns, because we did target practice. And yeah. And then eventually we did buy the house in Vassar. There's our little house, the pond beside the house, the shed and the chicken coop in our barn. He loved that tractor, that wonderful John Deere. This was my horse Nugget, and that's my daughter with him on the tractor. This was our cow Nan. She was a hoot. And then some more of the cows and the horse at the barn and our old ducks. Yeah, we had the whole gamut of animals. And, yep, the little house when we first moved in. And our dogs throughout the years. And, yeah, lots of fun had out there. And then again, I took pictures and kind of, this was the pond beside the house. We loved that pond, and it was filled with fish, koi and such. The kids loved fishing in it. It was a lot to take care of out there, but oh my gosh, it was so pretty in the summertime and so peaceful. And then this is just the back of the book, and I don't know when this bottle got broken. No one ever told me, but I think maybe in some cleaning and dusting that someone broke it and didn't tell me, so I need to replace that. I did not know it was broken. And this is a gloved hand, and this is the lyrics to Time in a Bottle by Jim Croce here. So, and then the clocks for the time. So that was my first altered book. It's a humdinger, I know, but that gives you an idea where I'm coming from, and then you'll be able to see what I'm doing now in terms of an altered book. So hopefully there's a little bit of an improvement and an evolution. I don't know that it's necessarily improvement. Things just change, don't they? You know, styles change and you grow as an artist. So anyhow, enough of that. I hope that helped. Stay tuned because you'll be seeing me working on this altered book. And I do have the first page spread done, but I'm going to videotape everything else from here on out. So, thanks for stopping by. Hope this was helpful. Get out there and create. Make something. Stay safe. Bye-bye.